Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to the 12 Hours of Watkins Glen. We did start the race this morning, obviously 12 Hours of Watkins Glen. We're fundraising for Mencap. Here's a charity that is dedicated to helping people with learning disability. We have currently raised about £214 for the charity, which is quite good. Of course, there are donation penalties, so people can donate to have implications on ballast, implications on time penalties, pit lane penalties, etc. So there's some quite consequential things which can happen as a result of donations. We were commentating the first 2 or 3 hours, and we are now into the final hour and 20 minutes of the race. We are now in the darkness, so it is the night time here at Watkins Glen, and it is still raining slightly. It's a greasy track currently. You can barely see the rain that's coming down. It did dry up around about 4 hours remaining, but then again the greasy track it did come back. The light rain has started, and it looks like it is here today. But drivers aren't struggling too much. They're still on dry tyres, and we're still having plenty of battles. Since this morning, the grid has changed quite a bit. We did have the Baller Squad Racing number 279 Porsche leading for quite a majority of the race, but they have dropped down into P2 at the moment. We currently have Philip Valinsky, Project Loki, and the 965 Mustang currently leading the race. Currently got a 16-second gap to the Baller Squad Racing Porsche behind. As I said, an hour and 20 minutes left of the race, so drivers will have to come in at least one more time for the pits. But once that passes the hour and 5 minute mark, they can technically go to the end if they have just pisted on that mark. So it will be an interesting end to the race there. As I said, number 965 currently leading up the grid 16 seconds ahead of number 279 in that Porsche, that Baller Squad Racing Porsche. Just behind them we have Ilya Ivanik in the Vides Setups Aston Martin, the number 847 there. They are only 0.6 seconds back from the Smith Adams 279 Baller Squad Racing Porsche, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that. A minute and a half behind them is Joel Kelly in the number 91 Ferrari. They've had quite a mixed race, starting in P3 or P2, and they are now up on P4, so they're slightly behind P3, but they're still having a fairly decent race out there. Joel Kelly currently in the car. Obviously, that's a team of Usby and Noah Ackerman. We'll be seeing who comes into the car for the final hour. It could be Kelly, could be Usby, and it could be, of course, Ackerman. Behind them is Stanislav Kartovic in the number 7 Aston Martin. They had a little bit of a tangle earlier on in the race, so they've been fighting their way back up from the sort of rear end of the grid, but they have made their way up into P5 at the moment, and they are currently 40 seconds back from P4, so they've not got too much to gain. Joe McLaren had an issue with the pit stops a few hours back, and then had an issue with a blue flag as well, so they have dropped down from their commanding lead, which was in P2. But they are now in P6, 50 seconds behind P5, but they are still going strong despite the issues that have occurred. In P7, we've got Luca Butol, who is currently 4.5 seconds back from Joe McLaren. The number 155 Mustang has done a very good race. So far, they started in P10, so they're currently up 3 positions on their starting order, and they are sat very comfortably at the moment, 20 seconds ahead of P8, which is Killian Teal in the Flying Force Racing McLaren. They've dropped 2 positions since the start of this race. They started in P6 and they're currently running in P8, but they're still racing strong out there, and like I said, they're only 20 seconds back from P7, so not bad going at all. Down in P9, Garrick Levonian with the fastest lap of the race as well, a 144.472. Number 887 Team ADR Moser Racing Mustang is doing quite well out there, 50 seconds back from P8, but they are still within the top 10, and they do have the fastest lap as well. Number 10, round out the top 10, we have the 991 Porsche, who we saw have quite a few battles earlier with Andres Schuster in the car. There's currently Jan Baranek in the car, who is 27 seconds behind Levonian. So they're doing fairly well out there. They've currently got a best lap of 146.6. So the majority of their pace is in consistency, which is still good, and of course has got them into the P10 position. So they have plenty more to do in this race. So back up to the top, we have the the number 279 Baller Squad Racing. Porsche has now come into the pit lane to complete their stint, so they'll be the second to last stint of the race. Of course, if they're pitting now, they will have to do one more pit stop before the end of this race. So not the most optimal pit strategy, but they're still doing quite well in P2. When they come out the pit lane, they should be in P3, maybe P4. Ilya Vanik has currently pitted 12 minutes ago, so they still have about 50 minutes left of their stint timer. Again, it's not going to take them to the end, but it should leave them in quite a good position towards the end of the race. Kelly, currently 45 minutes into his stint, so he will only have to do one more pit stop before the end of this race. That is a fairly good strategy from these guys, and of course they are currently being lapped by Filip Woliński, who is 57 minutes into their stint, so they again will have to pit twice before the end of this race. In P5, Stanislav Kartovic is currently 15 minutes into their stint, so they will have to once again pit twice before the end of this race. They have plenty more to be planning in the strategy. Joe McLaren 52 minutes into their stint, so they will have to pit just once more in this race. They'll have to do it right until the edge though, because in 13 minutes obviously their stint timer will end, and in 13 minutes it will be 1 hour and 4 minutes remaining, so it'll be quite tight on the race there. They might have to do a drive through just to clear that stint timer. It'll be something which they will have to watch out for. P7, Luka Butol is the same. They're 52 minutes into the stint, so they will also have to watch their stint timer to make sure they don't overrun. P8 is the same as well, 52 minutes into their stint timer, so they will have to be careful towards the end of the race. Livonian, who we saw earlier in the number 887 Mustang, is currently 7 minutes into their stint, so as I said, they will just be outside of where they can reach their stint timer maximum, so they will have to pit once more in this race. And then P10, Beranek is currently 59 minutes into their stint, so within the next 5 minutes they will have to come in, and of course that'll set them to do one more pit stop. So as it currently stands, they will have to do 2 pit stops before the end of this race, and it looks like actually they're going into the pit lane now. So after this pit stop, just one more pit stop that is required. Of course, there is 1 hour and 15 minutes left, and there is a 65-minute stint timer, which is 1 hour and 5 minutes, so there'll be a 10 minutes overlap where they will have to come into the pit lane for a drive-through, or they will have to do a pit stop. Got some support for Badir in chats from Sikova. You can do it. P15 is on the way. Badir is currently in P16 in the Skyner number 339 Ferrari. They're currently 56 seconds back from P6. The stint time is slightly different. Badir is currently 58 minutes into their stint, and Tunison has just started a new stint, so they will both have to do 2 more pit stops. I believe Badir might have to do 3 more pit stops if they do their current one on, say, this lap or the next lap. I don't believe they've got enough time to make it a 2-stop. So it'll be an interesting race for Badir. We've got some support in chat for them, which is good. Ilya Vanik has currently made their way up 15 places in this race. They started in P18 and are now in P3 in the 847 Vides setups Aston Martin. They are in a team consisting of 3 drivers: Nikolay Kulikov, Dmitry Kuchenko, and Ilya Ivanik. They have had a good race so far, a good stint, and of course up 15 positions, which is very impressive. Donation penalty-wise, we've had quite a few penalties, such as drive-throughs for specific cars. We've had some ballast removed as well. If you look at your screens now, you can see that P1, Filip Woliński, number 965, has had 40 kilos of ballast removed, so their car will be much faster than normal. Number 991, who's currently driven by Joel Kelly, has 20 kilos of weight removed, so they will, of course, be slightly faster. And then number 84 has 10 kilos removed. That is currently driven by Joe McLaren. So quite a few people with some ballast. Of course, you can donate to remove or add ballast to any car on the grid. You can find the link to that at acm-racing.com/Mencap. I'll pin that to the Twitch chat as well. So the cost of, there's been a spin there for Ilya Vanik. They've crashed out on the straight and have had quite a bit of damage after hitting that wall. I'll have to take the escape road to recover the vehicle there, but hopefully not too much damage that it will unsettle their race. They are currently 16 minutes into their stint, so they'll have to wait at least 40 minutes until they do a pit stop. As I was saying, donation penalties can be added or removed. Donation ballast can be added or removed. It is 5 kilos is £4. That is stackable, and it is also reduced if you spend or if you buy more at once. So 10 kilos is £7.50, 20 kilos is £15, and 40 kilos is £30. So keep that in mind if you are wanting to donate ballast to someone. Time penalties, it is £3 for 5 seconds, and that is of course stackable, so you can give someone 25 seconds worth of penalties for £15. Drive-through penalty is also £15, and obviously that's a lot more than 25 seconds here at Watkins Glen. Stop-go 10-second penalty is £23, so for £8 more than a drive-through, you can get them to stop for 10 seconds in the pit lane, which of course is very detrimental. Stop-go 30-second penalty is a £38 donation, which of course is a much bigger penalty for someone. That's a 30 seconds waiting in the pit lane, and of course will set them back quite a bit. And of course that can be added or removed, so if you donate a penalty to someone, they can always donate it to have it removed. The final hour is a crazy hour, so any donation penalties which come through are applied immediately. So any ballast, any time penalties, any pit lane penalties will be applied immediately up until the last 10 minutes of the race. So please keep that in mind as we head into the final hour, as it will get quite spicy with penalties. Currently, we have a stop-go 10-second penalty going to be applied to car 991, as they will be applied that in about 5 or 6 minutes or so, which will be interesting. Car number 991 is currently in P12. They are currently 2 minutes into their stint, so they will of course have to do that stop-go 10-second penalty nowhere near the pit stop, which is okay. They'll be losing out a lot of time during that, but they have about 1 minute and 40 seconds gap to spin behind. This race is sponsored by RaceForge. RaceForge is the first free open online directory for ACC setups by the community for the community. With the ability to compare, share, and even edit setups from within the website itself, you can utilize raceforge.org to get your dream setups for Assetto Corsa Competizione today. The link for that is posted in the Twitch chat if you wish to check out RaceForge. We're also sponsored by Gportal. Gportal offers premium game servers with the best hardware, clear web interface, and fair prices. We personally used Gportal for all of our events, and we never have any issues. We have automated majority of our race servers as well, which is something which is possible, as far as I know, only through Gportal. So quite good of them. The link to them is also in the chat, g-portal.com/ref Big Brain Racing. Two people currently watching the stream. If you are watching the stream and you want us to show someone specific, or you want us to cover some specific car, let us know and we can cover it for you. And say hello in the chat as well. Let's get some activity going in there. Currently, they've completed 354 laps in this race. That is a lot of laps at Watkins Glen. Of course, there are 20 cars left on the grid, so quite a significant amount of laps have been completed this race, and of course it is 12 hours long, so it has reached night time in game. I believe it is about 8 PM in game. Track is still greasy. You can see that some cars have their windscreen wipers on. It shouldn't affect the cars too much. It is very light rain. If we go on board, we can see the raindrops only occasionally hitting the windscreen of Zach Webb's Mustang, but it will still be having an effect slightly on the grip of the cars. So we won't be doing the fastest laps at the moment, but they still will be doing quite fast out there. Dutch Dig says they're so fried. Are you racing in this race? Which team are you supporting? And we'll jump on board with them. We're on board with Chase Jones and 279 Baller Squad Racing at the moment, as they're coming across the line to start their 356th lap of this race. An hour's left. The drivers who pit from sort of 2 minutes onwards will be on their final stint, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. Oh yeah, Vanik about to start their 356th lap. They've run slightly wide. I think they're still on track for that corner, but they're coming around the final corner now. Pretty tight to the apex, having a nice run off there. A lot of people hit that corner on the exit, but they have kept it out of the wall and they've kept it nice and tidy. Some anger at Kelly in the chat. Kelly's currently in P4, about 1 minute and 36 seconds back from P3. They've done well in the number 91 Ferrari. How have we let Webby in first? Yeah, Zach Webb up in first. Very strong position for Webb. I believe there's about 2.5 minutes between Kelly and Webb. So there's about almost a lap's difference. I think maybe just slightly more than a lap's difference. Yeah, there is. So yeah, interesting to see from this perspective. The number 91 Ferrari will be slightly out of the top 3 as well, but of course it is all to play for in the last hour of this race. So 1 hour 5 minutes remaining. Anyone who hits after sort of now really will be on their final stint. So car number 444, who is currently in the pit lane, when they leave it will be their final stint. They won't have to re-enter the pit lane unless of course the wait time or the additional time it takes for them to finish the race goes over by too much, but they should be good to finish until the end. Joe McLaren also in the pit lane. As I said earlier, they will be quite tight as well. They'll have to keep an eye on that, but they should be okay. And Butol has just entered the pit lane. Car number 918 behind has just entered the pit lane as well. So these guys, like I said, will be on their final stint, but it could be quite precarious towards the end. If there is any overrunning time on the maximum wait time, we'll have to see where the winner comes across the line. Kelly and Teal currently in the pit lane as well. They're doing their final stop of the race. No one else pitting at the moment. There are a few drivers who are close to needing to reset their stint timer. Zaturka, for example, 1 hour 1 minute on the stint timer, so they will likely have to come in at the end of this lap or the end of next lap. Aside from that, there is only 56 minutes with Jacob Bowich, who is currently in P11. They've got 56 minutes on the timer so far, so they will have to come in shortly, but of course it will be their final stint as well. Up at the front, Zach Webb is currently 5 minutes into his stint, so he will have to do one more pit stop before the end of this race, or do a drive-through to reset that stint timer at some point. They have a quite comfortable gap to the 279 behind, so I think it'll be more than comfortable to finish in first. Obviously, the 279 will also have to do a drive-through penalty, or not a drive-through penalty. We will have to do a drive-through to reset the stint timer, or just enter the pit lane. So I think Zach Webb is currently comfortably in P1. Of course, as I said before, there is some ballast which has been applied to some cars. P1, Zach Webb currently has minus 40 kilograms of ballast, which of course makes their car a lot faster than usual. And then we have P4, number 91 Ferrari, driven currently by Joel Kelly, on minus 20 kilograms of ballast. Of course, it'll be faster as well. And then number 84 Ferrari, driven by Joe McLaren at the moment, has negative 10 kilograms on their car as well. So, as we're in the last hour now, there will be 2 minutes until the last crazy hour begins. Of course, penalties that are donated, donations which have time penalties or ballast, are applied immediately. So if you want to impact the race at all, then please do consider donating. Within this final hour, we have currently raised £214 from Mencap. Mencap is a charity which supports people with a learning disability. A really influential charity, really great cause that this is going to. So please, if you have anything that you would wish to donate, please donate. And of course, you can impact this race. It is quite close at the top here. So if you give Zach Webb, for example, a 30-second penalty in some form, or reset or you send them to the pit lane for any reason, they of course will be down in P2, and Chase Jones will have a shot at the win in that Baller Squad Racing number 279 Porsche. Ironically, it says victory is the only option on the front of it. We'll have to hope that they don't take that to the Heath on the final sort of 10 minutes of this race. We don't want massive dive bombs from the rear and having any contact at all, but I don't believe these guys will. They've had a very good race so far, and they've even led for quite a few laps. So yeah, been quite good. They started in P3 and they are now up in P2, so 1 place gain since the start of this race. Zach Webb started in P4, so he's currently in P1, so that's up 3 positions since the start of this race. And then of course Ilya Vanek currently up 15 positions since the start of this race. They're currently coming into the pit lane at the moment. It looks like they will be resetting their stint timer or repairing damage, probably both at the same time. We'll be checking out what they do with this. Of course, if they do pit now, they have a 1 minute and 30-second gap to Joel Kelly behind, and of course Joel Kelly will have to come into the pit lane at some point soon as well. So Ilya Vanek is currently in no position to be losing out by doing this pit stop. 20 seconds until the final hour, then we'll be counting down those minutes and seconds, and of course it is crazy hour that will begin. So if you fancy donating to a great cause and impacting the race as a result of your donation, then please do check out acm-racing.com/mencap. It is a charity that supports people with a learning disability. They also support their families and carers, so please do consider donating if you'd like to. So Vanek is currently heading towards the exit of the pit lane. Joel Kelly about 30 seconds back from them at the moment. Vanek currently outside of the pit lane. They've just left. It's still a bit greasy out on track, but of course they are on dry tyres. There's no need for wets at this stage. But they will have a clear stint timer until the end now, so they are just able to go full push until the end, no extra cost. And they will have, of course, repaired that damage that they had a few laps earlier, so they will have a fresh car available for them to run with. I believe they are letting by the Baller Squad Racing P2 in Chase Jones there. That is interesting that these two have lapped each other. Obviously Chase Jones has to go into the pit lane one more time, so will be dropped back slightly, but I don't think Ilya Vanek will have a chance of catching, unless of course the 9 Porsche has any mistakes or incidents which cause them additional time. Number 91, that is the Joel Kelly Rocket Stallion Racing Ferrari. They are currently in the pit lane. Of course, this is their final stop before the end of the race. Their stint time will all be clear towards the end of the race. So we'll see what they do in this pit swap. They might swap drivers. Of course, they'll swap tyres, add in fuel until the end. But we'll see what happens with them. Joe McLaren currently behind them, 50 seconds back. Currently gaining, of course, because Joel Kelly is in the pit lane, but Joel Kelly is setting off now. I'm unsure. It's currently Usby in the car, so Joel Kelly has swapped over to Usby. I believe Usby is their fastest driver for them, so they should have hopefully a strong end to this race. Usby is, of course, the driver with the second most amount of laps in ACM with 7,831. They have a pace rating of 73, which is quite high. There's a scale from 0 to 100, with 100 being the most and 0 being the least. It is quite difficult to get towards the outer bounds, but obviously the closer to 100 that you are, the faster you are rated within ACM, and that is based on every single lap which they have completed at ACM. If you're in chat, you want us to view someone specific, then just let us know and we'll have a look. Currently on board with David Jakovic. They are 1 second back from Liber in front. Of course, that is the Mustang that is in front, and these guys are in a Lexus. So quite a battle between speed there. It's an interesting choice for endurance racing is the Lexus, but you do see it quite a lot these days as Jakovic is coming into the pit lane actually. So these guys are going to be spreading out quite a bit. Liber will be having to do a pit stop soon as well. They're currently 54 minutes into their stint timer, so they will have to do a pit stop before the end of this race. Of course, both drivers will be having to do their final pit stop. Number 41, who we're on board with, is doing their final pit stop now. Number 991, Sahula, currently in the pit lane as well. They have 9 minutes and 50 into the pit stint timer, so be interesting to see what their plan is. They've currently been in the pit lane for 50 seconds. The time stopped is about 24 seconds. Don't believe they have a penalty, so I believe this is just a regular pit stop. As you can see, the car potentially setting off in the next seconds. We've had a spin in Sector 1, that is Jane Hatsumiku, who has unfortunately had a spin on the sort of first sector just after the first corner. Hopefully no issues there. Car number 37 is approaching, and this will not be a battle for position as Maximilian Wolf is quite a few laps behind number 444 Mercedes. Livonian is currently 5.5 seconds back from the number 918 McLaren. That is the Flying Force Racing McLaren, the number 918. They're currently driven by Leon Hendrickson. Livonian currently has the fastest lap of the race with a 144.4. Very fast lap. The closest that we have to that lap is a 144.6, I believe, which was set by Karstvik's number 7 Aston Martin. There is, of course, live stewarding going on during this race. That is the full 12 hours stewarded live by the stewards. We've had quite a few penalties given out today, but not too many. We've had 93 total incidents for a total of 132 penalty points, about average for a 12-hour race. Majority of these, of course, being blue flag incidents, one of the key hotspot areas for penalties in sim racing. But we have had quite a few scraps and battles between drivers as well. As I said, Joe McLaren was caught up in a few incidents earlier. They first had a pit stop where they swapped it to the wrong drivers, had to return to garage and then do another pit stop to get the right driver in the car. That lost them, of course, quite a lot of time, and then they had an incident with a blue flag as well, which they had to pit for, and also lost them quite a bit of time. So they are now down in P6 compared to their nearly a lap lead in P1 earlier, but they have had a good race, nevertheless, in P6. That for McLaren is doing very well. A bit of a flash of the lights there. I'm not sure whether that's for commentary, but it could be. You're on screen at the moment, number 84. You're doing very well out there. Currently 56 seconds back from Useby, so we'll be seeing what they will do at the end of this race. Ivanek is now 4 seconds back from 279 Chase Jones. Of course, Chase Jones will have to do one more pit stop before the end of this race. Interesting, Ivanek will not have to do one more pit stop, so they are clear to just steam on to the end. So it's likely that these two will end up in P2 and P3 respectively, with Ilya being in P2. The Aston Martin, a very good car here at Watkins Glen. It's not the best car to have at Watkins Glen, but it is a very stable and very good car to have nonetheless. You can see Ilya Ivanek doing a very good job out there in the 847, making very great work, getting up from P18. That's 15 positions since the start of the race. Obviously in P1 we have a Mustang, which I believe is the best car to have here at Watkins Glen. Obviously these guys have minus 40 kilograms of ballast as well, so are slightly faster than usual. That will be helping them on their way to P1, but of course that can be donated away by people. It can be given to other people, etc. So donation penalties do make this interesting, and of course it is going to a great cause. We have a 10-second penalty for car number 965 and a 10-second penalty for 279. They will be applied soon. Donation message from that donation was from the old people, which said 10 seconds to 965 with a winky face, 10 seconds to 279 with a winky face, and 5 seconds for Callum Blith next time he races. Lots of love and jokes from Rocket Stallion Racing. So that is, of course, from car number 91, who is currently in P5. They donated to cars number 279 and 965, so those are the top two of this race. 10-second penalties will not make the biggest difference compared to where P5 is, but of course it will add a bit of spice of the race. Lavonian is still 4.6 seconds back from 918 in the McLaren, so still a bit of time to get in there. They are also 2 laps down. I've only just noticed that as well, so I think Lavonian will be sort of solidified in their current position. They are 2 laps ahead of, I'm going to butcher this name, Simon in the number 4 Mustang. So I think Lavonian is a very good position they're currently in. 2 laps behind, 2 laps in front. They don't really have much to worry about, which is good. Ivanek is also, interestingly, a lap down from Chase Jones in the number 279 Porsche. I failed to notice that earlier as well, so there'll be a little bit of gap between these guys. I think Chase Jones is going to have a comfortable P2 finish in that Baller Squad Racing Porsche. 48 minutes of the race remain once again. If anyone does pit now, that will be their final pit stop. There are quite a few drivers who will be having to do pit stop. I believe Zach Webb after another one, or at least a drive through. Yeah, this timer. Chase Jones, of course, will have to do one as well. Interesting to look at the pit counts for this race. So Zach Webb in P1 has pitted 11 times in this race. Obviously it is a 12-hour race, so you are expected to pit around 11 or 12 times. Chase Jones has currently been in the pit lane 12 times. Ivanek has currently been in the pit lane 13 times. Kartovic has currently been in there 12 times. Userbee's car 11 times has been in the pit lane, and McLaren, the number 84 Ferrari, has been in there 12 times as well. Interesting variance in pit stops there, and it also shows that it does not make the biggest difference. Of course, it does have quite a big of an impact on time, but it doesn't mean that the least pit stops you do will lend you the highest position. Of course, Ivanek has done 13 pit stops or pit entries, and is ahead of people who have done 11 stops. So it's just interesting to those 10-second penalties from the old people that was donated around about 5 minutes ago has been applied now. You can see Zach Webb and Chase Jones, with 10-second penalties at the top of the left-hand leaderboard. Of course, that will be served during their pit stops if they come in again. There'll be an extra 10 seconds that will have to be stopped for, so it's quite harsh compared to just 10 seconds into the race. 10 seconds stopped, obviously you're not moving, so you're losing a little bit more time. Of course, you can donate penalties to people if you wish them to have penalties. It will help Ivanek, Kartovic, Userby and McLaren. Of course, they are a few laps behind, so it won't be the biggest impact, but it will still have an impact on time. Head on board with Lavonian in the Team ADR Mustang. Stay on board with them for a few laps. As I said, they're in quite a comfortable gap at the moment, so they are more than welcome to do some push laps. Obviously the track is still greasy, cars do still have their windscreen wipers on. It is raining very, very lightly, so a few drops here and there. You can see on the windscreen occasionally. So they can't do the fastest laps of the race, but they can still push it quite hard, and the car will steady. They are on dry tyres, there's no need for wet tyres at the moment, so there still will be some fast laps. So right down into turn 1, it's braking at the board, hitting the apex on the inside, but trying not to hit the raised lip, using as much of the curb on the exit as possible. And of course, in the rain, it does become quite slippery there, so they have to be careful. Sticking to the inside apex of these corners, it's a flat out corner up the hill, with a flat out corner at the top of the hill into a long straight for a tight chicane into sector 2. Obviously you're going flat out down here, so hammer the throttle, hope you get a good exit out of turn 1, and you should be set up for sector 2. You have to take as much of these curbs as you dare, and try not to cut too much, as they do get quite bouncy towards the far inside of these corners. Try and stick to the apex as much as you can on this corner, and try not to run too far wide on the exit. There is quite a lot of curve on the exit, but you have a bit of bouncage can happen as a result of going too wide. Again, down into the hill there, you can brake quite early and take a late apex into that corner. There is a straight after it before an uphill right-hander, which sometimes unsettles a few cars, but there is a nice sort of runoff area before the grass there, which the cars like to make of. So heading down now this straight, it goes into sector 3, so we'll be braking for the first corner into sector 3. Middle apex on this one, and they can use up until the end of the yellow and red curve on that one. Braking by the board there, they can use sort of a late apex of a corner. They've let through a faster car there potentially, so Lavonian has let by another driver, so didn't take the apex on that one, but we'll see on another lap they do cut to the inside fairly late on. Rest of the lap, fairly simple, just normal apexes. There is a lot of runoff on that previous corner. Here you have to be careful with the runoff so you don't hit the wall on the outside, but he's done well there to keep it on track. Obviously with this greasy track you have to be very careful not to run too far wide. But the number 887 Mustang did very well there. Missing the apex slightly on the next turn 1, but they're using the majority of that turn 1 exit curb as they stick to now the tight apex of the uphill right and left-handers, and again onto the straight where they will eventually pass this blue flagged Ferrari in front. That's number 63 I believe. Actually they're just laying off the throttle there and allowing that blue flag to go through the chicane first. That's a smart move from number 887. The chicane, as we saw earlier in the race, does have quite a few incidents if you go side by side through there, so you need to be careful. You can see here the 63 is just allowing this Mustang to go by on the exit of this corner and should back out before this corner, which they have done. And of course now Livonian can take the apex of this corner and have a flat out exit to this straight. As I mentioned, this corner is quite a difficult one. In the rain it's an uphill right-hander, so there is a potential for oversteer, and it does run out onto the grass. There's not that much runoff area, but there is a nice area there which has been enlarged slightly, so it's a run down into sector 3 now. The 887 will be lurking as late as it can there. An early turn in towards the corner there, hooking the curb on the right and using as much of the curb on the exit as they can. Braking just after the board hill, they'll be cutting into the apex slightly late. It's a later apex on this one, around about there is a perfect apex. And the runoff area here is quite nice as well. There's a little bit of track curb outside of the yellow line to run wide. On this corner you can run as far as the exit of the curb, but once again quite a lot of area, but the further you do run out the worse it sets you up for this final corner. And once again you got the wall on the outside there which you want to be careful of. In chat we've got some support for car number 918, so they've been doing very well so far. They're currently 363 laps into the race, 19 seconds behind Gibbon in front. Looking at stint timers, these guys are basically equal on the stint timers, both done 22 minutes of their current stint, which will leave them with no further pit stops left in this race. Leon Hendrickson going down the straight at the moment, will be heading into the chicane next, trying to use as much of these curbs as they can. Making a very nice line through the chicane there, and of course sticking to the apex as best as they can through here, and getting a nice exit down sector 2 downhill left-hander. Lily talking about sabotaging her own team there, saying that they'll pay £15 to donate the disqualification to Usby, but Usby is of course in Rocket Stallion Racing as well, so not sure about the espionage that's going on there. If you want to donate to charity, that is of course possible. You can give time penalties and pit lane penalties, and of course ballast as well. Car number 91, which is driven by Usby, currently has 20 kilograms removed, so of course if you wanted to sabotage Usby you can donate ballast, or you can donate time penalties. The top two have received 10-second penalties, so do have that to play with, but they are quite a far distance ahead of 3 and 4, so should have no problem running until the end of this run. 39 minutes are left of this race. Of course there'll be a bit of wait time for those final few cars to cross the line at the end of the race as well, so people will be have to be careful on their stint timers. A few drivers are 30 minutes into their stint timer. There is one driver, Chase Jones, who's currently 38 minutes into their stint timer, so they will have to pit again before the end of this race, or at least do a drive through to reset that stint timer. 12 hours of racing, you don't usually change your brakes in, but of course any time longer than 12 hours you do look to change your brake pads, as they fade out quite a bit during a 24-hour race, but I don't think anyone will have done a brake pad change today. 279 is passing the number 7 Aston Martin, that is Briadco in the number 6 7 Aston Martin there being passed and lapped. They're currently in P5, about 16 seconds back from Useby, who's in P4. Interesting thing because of the lap counts here. Ilya Ivanek is 3 seconds back on track from Chase Jones, the number 279 Porsche, but they are a lap down, so that is technically a lap and 3 seconds, but just interesting to see on the Delta time there. Chase Jones, of course, does have that 10-second penalty. Won't have too much of an impact, but it will potentially affect the distance that they have to Zach Webb. Of course, Zach Webb has 10-second penalty as well. That was donated for a total of £15, which added some extra spice to the end of this race. Of course, if you want to donate yourself, you can do, and all proceeds will go to a charity which supports people with a learning disability. So please do consider donating if you want to. You can. Penalty donations are open until the final 10 minutes of this race, and there's 27 minutes left to donate any penalties, so please keep that in mind if you are planning on donating at the race. Interestingly, Andrew Priedko, number 7 Aston Martin, did have a drive-through penalty this lap, which they served. Of course, that doesn't reset the stint timer, but they did have a drive-through penalty that is likely for track limits. I don't believe there was any incident involving them, or there was any donation penalties which were given for them, so I believe that was for track limit. They have served it now though, and of course they are on the same lap as Useby in front, about 40 seconds back from their car. It's possible to catch up to them. Of course, they might have to be benefited by time penalties or ballast. It's quite a bit to gain, but it is entirely possible. Here at ACM, this race is hosted by ACM Racing. We do have quite a few events each week. There's an endurance race almost every weekend, so every 6 weeks there is a break weekend, so 6 weeks of endurance racing every weekend straight. Next weekend we have 8 hours of Suzuka. The weekend after we have 6 hours of Nordschleife with pre-2019 vehicles, so Aston Martin V12s, Mercedes, the old Mercedes AMG, BMW M4s, M6s, and etc. So please, if this sounds interesting, do join ACM Racing. There's plenty to offer. We have sprint races during the week as well, so if you don't have a team to race with, join us in one of our sprint races. Races up to 3 hours long. Monday we have 60 minutes of Imola. Wednesday we have GT4, which is 45-minute races. Thursday we have mini endurance, which is up to 3 hour long races. Quite an interesting format in there as well, with 65-minute stint timers. Fridays we currently run Jaguary, which is Jaguars only. Of course, Saturdays we have endurance racing, and Sundays we have Ferrari Fun Days, which is where only a Ferrari is allowed. So you have the Ferrari 296 and you have the Ferrari 458. A few people do choose the 458, but of course 256 is the more modern car, so it's faster. But acm-racing.com, the place to go for a course competizione sim racing. We have plenty of races on, just like this one, where you have grids of up to 50 drivers or more racing for that win. Chase Jones has received a drive-through penalty, which they are currently serving. That will set them back slightly from the top spot. I believe that was as a result of track limits. There's no penalty for Chase Jones as far as I can see. So that was a penalty for track limits, which you saw as well. They are clear now for this last half an hour to push as much as they want now, though, of course. they can get not to get 4 more. But of course they are quite comfortably in at the moment, so they shouldn't have worries about that final position. Interestingly, again here we've got Jan's Hula, the number 991 Porsche, is showing as only 0.7 seconds back from Shibor in front, but of course they are a lap down as well, so they are about a lap and 0.7 seconds. I don't think there'll be a position change here. A lap is quite a lot to gain in half an hour, but you never know, this is racing, anything can happen, anything is on the board for potential possibilities, so it's been focus on Chase. Jones has had a bit of an off on that corner there, potentially braking too late into the first corner of sector 3. Not too bad though, they've of course got plenty of time available to them. Lexus in 11th was to be in some sort of conspiracy. Lexus Elite, yes, that is true. We used to have Lexus Elite Tony Shoulders racing with us quite a bit, but we haven't seen him in well. Martin Shibor is currently leading the Lexus for this race. I believe they are the only Lexus for this race, but they're doing quite well in P11. You are Tony Shoulders. Welcome back, Tony. Will we see you on the grid sometime soon or not? It'd be good to have the Lexus Elite back in the track. But Martin Shibor currently in P11. They started in P9, so they have dropped 2 positions at the start of this race. They are a lap down from P10, so I don't think there's going to be a position change there, but they have a very comfortable gap to Hula behind. Also a lap there. We'll keep our eyes on them. Tony says he's just moved house, wheels not set up. Well, get it set up and get yourself on grid, Tony. We've been missing you. The Lexus to make a return. Ilya Ivanik is currently on their own lap 373. They are the only car on that lap currently, so very easy and comfortable position that they are in at the moment to avoid a Ferrari that was just off track there. Userbeat has just started the 373rd lap for them, but of course they are 1 minute and 26 seconds behind Ivanik, so I don't think Ivanik has worried there. Stay on board with them for a bit and see how they do around the lap. As I went through earlier, I'm going to do an onboard track guide, head down in towards turn 1. We're behind Flying Force Racing, number 918, they're currently in P8, driven by Hendrickson. They should hopefully give way to Ivanik, not give time loss car. So up the hill then, in sector 1, keeping it tight to the apex of these corners, not too tight, you don't want to touch the curb too much, keeping it steady to not hit that wall on the exit there. There was almost a little bit of contact from earlier there, but he kept it going quite well. Breaking into the chicane here, you have to be careful with the curbs, they are quite bouncy. If you take too much it can be dangerous, but you want to take ideally as much as you can, as they do benefit you quite a bit. Taking this corner, you want to stick as close to the apex as possible to get a great exit out onto that curve there. There's plenty of opportunity for you. Braking at that concrete border on the right there, you can get a sort of late apex onto this corner and get a good run out of the corner, as the Flying Force Racing had a little bit of a mistake there on the exit. Braking late here, the uphill right-hander is a difficult corner for oversteer, but of course it does have a nice exit run out here, which cars like to use quite a bit. Running down in towards sector 3 now, braking at the 50 to 100 meter board there, sticking to the apex as tight as possible. Ilya did run slightly wide there, but making use of the curb on the exit. Braking at the second board there. Again, this is a late apex corner, so you want to try and stick to the close to the possible the left hand side as you can, as late in the corner, using as much curb on the exit as well, which Ilya did perfectly. Taking the apex as normal there and using the curb on the runoff, before darting back to the left hand side of the track to take this final corner here at Watkins. You need to be careful on the exit there, of course there is the wall on the outside, which quite a few drivers do occasionally hit. So that was a lap of Watkins Glen. Over in turn 1 as well, you want to brake at about 150 metres, clip the apex nice and perfect like Ilya did there, and get a good run out into the sector 1 uphill section. So passing a blue flag there, and again having a slightly wide apex on that one due to the blue flag. Picking up a few marbles, but nicely avoiding the wall this time, unlike the previous lap. Again into the chicane, keeping it nice and steady on the curves there to try and not run the ground. Once again, this race is fundraising for Mencap. Mencap is a UK charity which supports people with a learning disability. It's a great cause that this is going to. It currently raised £229 this race. Of course, any donations go fully to Mencap, and you can donate to specific vehicles to have them added or taken away ballast, or add or take away time penalties as well. So an extra 5 kilos of ballast is £4, extra 10 kilos is £7.50. 20 kilos is £15, 40 kilos is £30, so plenty available there, and of course that is stackable up to plus 40 and negative 40. So of course the drivers who do have minus 40 at the moment can be given 80 kilos to give them plus 40 kilograms, but of course that will be a £60 donation. Of course it's to a great cause, so if you do have that spare money and you wish to impact this race from the spectator seat, you can do, and of course it's interesting to watch. Other drivers, there is Carnival 91 which has 20 kilos of ballast currently removed. Carnival 84 has 10 kilos of their car removed, so they will be slightly faster than usual. But that 40 kilos on number 965 is currently doing them wonders as they are on the 377th lap alone. Time penalties can also be added or removed. You can see P1 and P2 currently have 10-second penalties each. That was a donation by someone not too long ago. Time penalties are £3 for 5 seconds, and of course that is stackable, so 25 seconds is £15, etc. Drive-through penalty is also £15. Stop go 10-second penalty is £23, and a stop go 30-second penalty is £38. So plenty available there, and of course all proceeds do go to Mencap directly. So please do consider having a look at that. The link to that is linked in the Twitch chat, acm-racing.com/Mencap. You can also view all the other events that we have going in ACM, acm-racing.com/events. You can view all the upcoming events, all the server details, etc. And of course there will be a link to the sign up there as well. As I said, 10 people currently watching the stream. If you want us to jump to anyone specific, or you want us to have a look over someone's performance so far, then just let us know and we can jump to their car. 20 cars currently on the grid still. Car number 60, who is currently in 41 laps down, so they are quite far behind, but of course the more experience that you do get out on track, the better, so it's good on them for continuing this race. They are in the Ferrari 458, which is an interesting choice for an endurance race, but of course, as I said, the more experience that you do get, the better you will become as a driver, so very well done to these guys, and I believe it is a solo 12-hour race as well, so Vukuzic is doing very well out there in the number 3 Ferrari. Mooney in the number 63 Ferrari 296 is also doing this race solo for Sim Racing Morocco in the junior team. Doing a very good race out here. Currently 29 laps behind, but of course solo 12 hours is not easy, and just finishing the race is as good as finishing in first. So very well done to these guys back of the grid. Link to the ACM Discord is also in the Twitch chat, so if you fancy joining us and keeping on board with the communications for ACM events and stuff, join the Discord, get pinged about this stuff, and keep on top of communication. You can request specific event formats, we can do them. January, which is the one that runs on Fridays, was asked for a few months ago, and we have run it now. So, of course, if you want to see something specific, just ask for it, and we will, of course, run it if we can. ACM website is also linked there, acm-racing.com. You can do everything you need to on there. Upcoming events, all the driver stats. There is 500,000 laps in ACM Racing database available for you to browse through to get information on average laps, etc. About all of our races. You can view the position changes for each race, along with plenty more information. The ACM Patreon is available if you want to get more functionality out of that. You can get information on pace rating over time. You can get plenty more information on there as well for as little as £3 per month. Please do consider supporting ACM. Obviously, it's not cheap running a league. We do spend quite a lot of our personal time doing it as well. Of course, the racing is more than worth it, but any help is I believe the closest battle or closest two vehicles on track currently is the number 991 Sahula in the Porsche and the number 757 Ferrari, which is driven by Spinner. They are currently 6 seconds between each other, so as I say, it's 12 hours of racing. There are some quite large gaps which form, but these guys are fairly close. Like I say, just £3 can donate a 5-second penalty and change that to 1.6 seconds. Not sure about these timers, but they are both on the same timer. So Sahula on 33 minutes and Spinner on 35 minutes, so they are both able to go until the end. So do consider donating some penalties, ballast, whatever it might be, to get some action towards the end of this race, and of course donate some money to a great cause. Mencap is a charity that supports people with a learning disability, so as I said, a great cause, and they do plenty to help people in the UK. Some support for Jake Spinner in chat. We're currently on board with Jake Spinner. We'll go on the outside view to have a view of their racing. As I said, currently 6 seconds back from Sahula, so they have quite a short distance to gain to get into P12. Of course, not top 10, but it still is a top 15, and this is a 12-hour race, so just finishing the race is as good as finishing first. Of course, nothing's as good as actually finishing first, but Zach Webb is going to be experiencing that currently. Currently 381 laps have been completed. He started in P4, so has made their way up 3 positions since the start of this race, across 380 laps. And of course, 20 cars on grid, 380 laps per car. That's quite a lot of laps to be going into the ACM database. Check this out on the ACM app, acm-racing.com/ACM app, all one word. And you can view all of the laps from this race, position changes, etc. So please do check it out if you want to, and of course support the Patreon. Andrew Priadko currently 39 seconds back from Usby, 379 laps have both been completed by both cars, so not the closest to battles, but these guys will be going on until the end. So unless Usby makes a mistake, it will be as it is for the top 5. Of course, Chase Jones and Zach Webb are also on the same lap, but there is about a minute's difference between the cars. Bottle Squad Racing, the number 279 Porsche, has done very well this race. They led for quite a few laps in that Porsche. They did have a few mistakes earlier on in the race, but have recovered well from them to get into this position. And of course, they started in 3, so have made their way up in position since the start of this race. Webby the Goat in chat, absolute demon. As I said, currently in P1, I'm ahead of P2, and they are having a flying race at the moment, up from P4 in qualifying to P1 in the race, with 18 minutes left to go. Shanae in chat has just said the brakes are gone, but you can do it though. So Shanae is, I believe, teammate of Zach Webb. Of course, if the brakes are gone, as I said earlier on, towards the sort of 12-hour mark, the brakes do start to fade depending on how much you use them during the 12 hours. So obviously in a 24-hour race you do want to change your brakes around about this time, so I'm not surprised that Zach Webb's brakes are gone, but hopefully they will be able to maintain this to the end of the race. Obviously an extra pit stop now would be detrimental to that first place position. It'd be interesting to hear from Chase Jones if they have anyone available in the car, see how their brakes are doing. Zach Webb is currently 51 minutes into his stint with 17 minutes left of the race, so I do believe that they will have to do one more pit stop for the stint timer, and the same with Chase Jones, who is currently 1 hour into their stint, and they will have to do another pit stop in the next 5 minutes or get a drive penalty. So Zach Webb, will they change the brakes in the pit lane? Probably not. There's only 16 minutes left of the race, unless the brakes completely fail, which is rare. They will not need to change the brakes, but it will change the positions around should they do so. Good intel there from Shanae. Back on board with Spinner then, 4.2 seconds now back from Sahula, that Porsche, that number 991 Porsche in front. They are, of course, on the same laps. This is the closest battle that is on track. The car that you see ahead is a Mustang, so it is not battle for now. That is the leading Mustang of the race, Zach Webb in front, but of course in front of Webb is Porsche of Sahula, which of course Jake Spinner is battling for position. Some more intel from Shanae. I think we're fine, just a bit slower final stint for us. Yep, I don't think you'll have to change brakes unless of course they do completely fail, which then we'll have to change. But that is rare and it is likely to happen in the next 15 minutes, so hopefully you guys are able to just continue on and finish the race. I feel like everyone will be having a bit of sensitivity on the brakes at this stage of the race, of course depending on how much you press them or lock up throughout the race, how much they're going to have by this stage. As I said, generally during a 24 hours by this mark you would want to be changing your brakes, so I'm not surprised if people are saying their brakes are worn. And of course it is still greasy out on track. You can see the raindrops occasionally hitting the windscreen, so this means that there is a little less grip on the track. There's more lockups and a few more spins. These guys are doing perfect jobs out there with consistent drizzle rain. So up front then we'll go on board with Zach Webb as they are passing the number 991 Porsche. Of course that is a battle for position for Spinner, so 991 Porsche will have to see this position Zach Webb, which they have done just before the chicane there. Probably the best position that they could have done. We'll jump on board with them to see how they are doing after that. And of course on Spinner's perspective, the Porsche in front. They gained about half a second from that lapping manoeuvre there, so 2.6 seconds currently sits between Spinner and Sahula. These guys I believe are on the exact same stint time, yes, so there will be no more pit stops for cars. They'll be battling it out. As you see, the car in front is the Porsche, which Jake Spinner is battling for position. That is for 12. Hula started in P19 and Spinner started in P15, so Hula is currently up 7 positions in this race, with Spinner only up 2 positions. We'll be looking for that 3rd position in the final 10 minutes. Chase Jones currently in the pit lane doing their pit stop. Obviously that's for stint timer. They could have done a drive through, but they are potentially running out of tyres, or they're currently running potentially out of fuel as well, so they are doing a full pit stop by the looks of it. They've been stopped for 16 seconds, so it seems to be just fuel and potentially damage, but they have now reset the stint timer, so they are clear to finish the race with 13 minutes that remain. Zach Webb will have to come into the pit lane at some point as well. Zach Webb has just around the first corner, just slightly behind Chase Jones, so of course there is quite a big gap between these guys. Even if Zach Webb does do a pit stop now, Chase Jones is still comfortably in 2, unless of course Zach Webb make those brakes, as we said in chat, are quite faded at this point, so he will have to be having a little bit of sensitivity or careful driving throughout the track just to try and maintain what is left of those brakes. Ivanik just come across the start-finish straight. We're starting at the 305th lap of the race. They're currently on their own lap. Technically, they are about 46 seconds back from Chase Jones. Chase Jones, of course, has just completed their stint. That's a bit again for a stint timer. Ivanik is only just, I think, going to be okay with the stint timer. They're currently 47 minutes in, 12 minutes remaining. They have about 6 minutes gap on their stint timer, so I think it should be good to continue on to the end. So it's likely that the top 3 will not change positions unless, of course, there is contact or incidents between them. P4, currently 383 laps, so a lap behind Ivanik at the moment. But they are currently on a stint timer of 46 minutes, so they have plenty of time to finish this race on the stint. Bradco in P5, 383 laps as well, slightly behind car number 91. About a sector's difference between those 2 cars, but of course Predco has done a pit stop about half an hour ago, so he's also clear to finish this race. Joe McLaren down in P6, 41 seconds back from Predco, again about a second, or about a sector's gap between those 2 cars, but of course they will be able to finish the race as they are, so I think that's a solid P6 for Joe McLaren. Ivan Gibbon, the number 155 Mustang, currently 52 minutes into their stint. It's going to be very tight at the end there, as they will be going right up until the end of the stint time, and they might even have to do a drive-through just to make sure they are safe. But of course, they are sort of out on track by themselves at the moment, with a gap behind of 24 seconds, so they might potentially be at risk there, but we'll have a look Hendrickson and what they're doing on stint time. Stint time for Hendrickson is relatively the same, so I think if Gibbon is pitting, Hendrickson will also have to pit, so I think they are also in some fairly solid positions. Skatov, the number 887 Mustang, is currently 8 minutes into their stint, so they're able to run until the end, but they are 3 laps behind Hendrickson, who you can see in front of the pink McLaren. Don't think there'll be any position change for Skatov. They are currently a lap on their own. Zarsik is currently a lap on their own as well, but a lap and 5 seconds back from Skatov. They have done their stint 38 minutes ago, so they are clear to run until the end of this race. Marcin Skibor in the Lexus for our racing team. They have done their stint 45 minutes ago, so they are clear to run to the end of the race as well. I believe the only car that is left to do a pit stop will be Hamza Badir in number 399 Ferrari. We did have some support for them in chat earlier. Of course, if you want to show your support, just put the number in chat. We can jump on board their car and see how they are doing in the race. Hamza Badir currently has about a minute's worth of time ahead of Tunisian. behind, so they are fine to set that stint time. Of course, if they have enough fuel, they can just do a drive-through, or they can do sort of a stop and go just to pick up some fuel. I believe they might be coming to the pit lane probably next lap, potentially this lap, but no, it seems like they'll be coming to the pit lane next lap to set that stint timer. Zach Webb also will be having to come into the pit lane very shortly. They have 4 minutes 20 seconds left of their stint timer. That is more than enough time for one lap, maybe two more, but not enough time to finish the race on the stint. So they will have to do one more pit stop. But Chase Jones, who is just behind, also did a pit stop, so he's about 1 minute 45 seconds behind. So there is plenty of space available for Zach Webb, so long as no mistake is made. We'll be seeing if they come into the pit lane this time. I don't expect any tyre changes or anything like that. They just fuel probably, or if they already have fuel, they can just do a drive-through. It'd be interesting if Sinead is still in chat. That is Philip Felinski, the teammate of Zach Webb, to see if they have a plan for the pit lane. Seems like they'll be going into the pit lane now. They took quite a tight corner on this last corner. Yep, coming into the pit lane to reset this stint timer now. We'll stay on board with them to see what they do regarding pits. They might just do a drive-through depending on whether they have the fuel availability for it. Looks like they will be stopping, so potentially picking up fuel. I don't think they'll be changing brakes or anything, so I think they're fine in that regard. We'll stop now, we'll see how they progress. Chase Jones is of course catching at a rate of knots at this rate, so 1 minute 20 seconds and counting, but of course depending on how long car number 965 is stopped for, is whether or not Chase Jones will catch. I don't think there'll be any catching from Chase Jones. He's still about a sector and a half behind number 965, and the number 965 is setting off now. They were stopped for 18 seconds, so can confirm that is just simply fuel that was added to that car just to get it over the line. And of course they are on a fresh stint now, so everyone that is currently out on track, bar from Hamza Zadir, is able to finish this race without any further pit stops, unless of course they get a meatball flag for damage. Hamza Badir likely going to be coming into the pit lane this lap. They have 1 hour and 3 minutes on the stint timer, and of course there's minutes left of the race. It's about a 1 minute 40 second lap time here, so they will be having to keep the pit lane at this lap. Hamza Badir started in P16, currently in P15, so it's been a very equal race for these guys, gaining one position at the start. Still the top 15 though, so very good performance from these guys, and of course, as I said earlier, finishing a 12-hour race is everything. It's not easy to do the entire 12 hours of an endurance race. Even with teammates, I did quite a few 24-hour endurance races myself last year, and of course they are quite taxing. We'll stay on board with Hamza Badir for now. Of course they are just behind the Mustang of car number 4, I believe that is. That's Simon Gazarsic, who's just lapped to them. You can see the Ferrari of Badir there. They have 1 hour and 4 minutes on the stint time now, so they will be having to come into the pit lane in the next minute, or they will have a drive-through. So they'll have to be getting their speedy boots on and getting themselves into the pit lane. So they take the second to last corner here, taking it nicely to the apex and running out onto the curb. They'll be sticking to the inside of this apex to enter the pit lane here. You can see them not entering the pit lane, so they will be getting a drive-through penalty for the stint timer here, which is interesting to see. Of course, that will potentially knock them down into P16, as there is a minute's difference for Gunnison. Of course, a good point is that as long as they have enough fuel, they would have got a drive-through penalty, or they would have had to do a drive-through to reset the stint time anyways, so potentially they just want to stay out on track. By the way, I don't think it makes too much difference, but of course it is up to the individual team whether they want to do that, and the drive-through penalty has just been applied now. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen a drive-through penalty, Hamza Badir. So the final car has now completed their stint technically. So we are clear to finish off this race. 4 minutes remain. Zach Webb is clear enough in P1. 56 seconds gap to 279 Chase Jones behind. More than enough space so that they don't have to worry. I think we'll complete this race just short of 400 laps, maybe 391 or so. Still a great race from everyone. Obviously, that's almost 400 laps from every single car. And on a grid of 20, that's nearly 8,000 laps from everyone, not including qualifying. So excellent racing out there, and it is awesome to So second to last lap, I believe it will be now for Zach Webb. We'll stay on board with them just as they do these few laps. Unless, of course, there is a battle. Jake Spinner, the battle that was brewing between these two, I believe has phased out now. Jake Spinner must have had a spin at some point. Ironically, spin is in his name. 19 seconds back from Subor at the moment, so I think Subor is more than comfortable enough in their position, and they are actually a lap ahead. So actually, I get that entirely wrong. It was the battle between Sahula and Spinner, which Spinner has gained that position on, and Sahula is currently 4 seconds back. So whether there was a pit stop in there or what, I'm not sure. But Spinner is now currently in P12, and Sahula has been dropped into P13. So well done to Spinner for taking that position. It's a game that I... Back on board with Zach Webb. We'll stay on board until the end of this lap as they start the penultimate lap of this race. Marky, Reese says hello in chat. Yes, get in there. Webby got some support for Webby, who's currently in P1 and is very comfortably in P1 as well. There's a 55-second gap to P2 behind. Of course, unless Zach Webb makes a mistake now, as soon as the car gets any damage, I think they are even still comfortable, even if that happens. So, very nice race from these guys. Obviously started in P4, so made their way up 3 positions at the start of this race. And plenty of action has gone on, so they've done quite well to get across these 390 laps. Plenty of laps have been completed. Imagine trying to do this track 390 times, it becomes a bit like muscle memory. The exhaust there from the Mustang, one of the best exhausts in ACC. You can see occasionally under braking the exhaust flames coming out, and you can see the highlight on the side of the car. That was the call out for the final lap, so Zach Webb is on the final lap of this race. So as soon as they finish this race, they will be complete for the 12 hours of Watkins Glen. Of course, donation penalties are closed. We were raising money for Mencap. Of course, that is a charity that supports people with a learning disability. In total, we raised about £229, which is excellent to see. Every penny counts, so really good to see from everyone in this race. Of course, if you want to donate, you can do. It just can't have an effect on the race as it is now. So Webby and everyone else who is solid in their positions will be stuck to this position until the end. Webby's had an excellent race in that Mustang, and of course sharing that honour with Philip Felinski, who we saw Shine in the chat earlier on, having a share of that car as well. So these guys have done excellently to get into the position that they are in and consistent till the end of the race. Joe McLaren currently coming out of the pit lane. I believe that was just a drive through, not sure what for. They're still good on their stint timer. It must have been for track limits as their stint timer has not reset. But Joe McLaren was running majority of this race in P1 until they had an unfortunate incident in the pit lane regarding the driver swap, and then had an incident with the blue flag as well, which set them back down to 6. But they've ran a fantastic race overall. We'll jump back aboard with Webby as they cover the final 2 corners. As Webby comes round and comes around into the final corner, he's careful not to hit the wall on the exit. Does it perfectly, has a bit of a flash for the cameras as they cross the line, and that is a P1 to Zach Webb and Philip Felinski for the 12 hours of Watkins Glen fundraising for Mencap. An excellent race here at ACM Racing. Webby has done an excellent job to complete the race across the line first. Some support for him in chat. He wins at Spa, he wins at Watkins. Great race all. It was a very exciting race to watch indeed. Next one's crossed the line in order is Chase Jones. Of course, quite a significant gap behind Zach Webb, but they are still in P2 and they are still quite far ahead of Ivanik behind as well. So a very good race for Baller Squad Racing, keeping it consistent out there and only having a few issues out on track. You can see in chat there, Shine, Philip Felinski saying perfect teammate. Some support for Webby there. Chase Jones crosses the line and finishes P2 for the Baller Squad Racing Porsche. Of course, on the front of that car, victory is the only option. Not quite a victory today, but they did get a podium nevertheless. Ivanik will be next on the top 3 to be crossing the line. He'll be the third to last car, I believe the second to last car actually, coming across the line. Of course, it is still greasy. It's been greasy for the majority of this race. We have had a few dry spots. The fastest lap of the race was taken by Skatzolf in the number 887 Mustang. You can see that car just in front of Ivanik. They set a 1 minute 44.4. Yep, that's true. So a very fast lap. And then Ivanik comes across the line now to finish the race in P3. And we just have kind of a 63 Smooney to finish this race, and the 12 hours of Watkins Glen will be finalised. So an excellent race from everyone, so well done to all participants. Well done to Webby for the win, well done to Chase Jones for the P2, and Ivanik and car number 847 for P3. Chase, car number 63 having a bit of a spin out there. Not sure whether they are celebrating too early or what, but they do have a drive-through currently outstanding that car as well. Obviously, of course, being the only car remaining, I'll just flick to P1, see if there's any donuts going on. There's a little bit of a pack heading through the grid there as Webby is leading up the grid. Not sure whether anyone is doing any donuts, but there is certainly a little bit of a pack going on here at the front. Back on with Spoonie as they are going to cross the line very shortly. Coming around the penultimate corner, final corner. Once again, being careful not to hit that outside wall. Keep it nice and tight to the inside and crossing the line to complete the 12 hours of Watkins Glen fundraiser for Mencap. So thank you very much for everyone who came along today. Here at ACM, we do plenty of races, endurance race almost every single weekend, and up to 6 events per week. So if you want to check us out, acm-racing.com is the place to go for a set of course competizione racing. This was the 12 hours of Watkins Glen fundraiser for Mencap, a charity dedicated on supporting people with a learning disability. We raised £229 total, which is great amount to go to charity. Thank you very much for everyone for attending. This was Harry Goswell, your host for today. Hope everyone has a fantastic rest of the weekend. For now, I will see